people would rather rock the Nike on their feet than rock the same thing with no Nike check, because everybody's like, yo, you got Nike on. You're working with that person. You know what I'm saying? That value you have to your name. Your name is everything. Your brand.
Welcome to the Mpower podcast. My name is Brendan Sika, and I'm joined by my guest here today, Tobi. Turn Up Tobi.
What's up? What's up? What's up? How are everything?
Good, man.
Good,
How
good,
are you?
good. Good. You know, woke up this morning feeling great, feeling blessed as always.
Word. So, I want to just get the record straight. So, you're an engineer, musician, producer. Like, what don't you do?
Man, I don't fail. I try to learn as much things as possible. My thing is, if I'm not improving myself at least every day, then I'm doing something wrong. I try to make myself better than the day I was before. You know.
Hey, amen.
So I like to learn videos, music. I just read knowledge. Knowledge is key.
So, you just try to keep on just absorbing as much as you can, like
Yeah.
constantly?
Yeah, I try to just keep learning, keep on getting better in myself as a person.
That's how you do it. Like, the more skill sets you have, you
Yeah.
know.
Because one thing I learned from my mentor, Miso on the Keys, is he said value is key. And with everything in life is about value. What can you offer to life? What can you offer to yourself? What can you offer to other people?
Exactly. Like the more value you can give to other people, you eventually get that back, no matter how like it comes. It could be like money. It could also be like, another service.
Yeah,
But that's the point. Like if you have something someone else doesn't, as far as like a skill set, like that's the value.
exactly. And with that, value is also important to yourself, because a lot of times you're like, what's my value to living? Like, what am I here for? In order to like my personally, in order to make like my life better, is like, what can I do? What can I offer? Why am I here? And sometimes I find myself just dabbling in different fields, different crafts. Like recently, I just started playing with like, I like cars, like, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I'm like,
What kind of cars you like?
oh, I'm an Infinity guy for some reason. I don't know why. I like Infinities. None of my friends like Infinities. You don't hear it on TV. You don't hear
No,
the
yeah,
music.
that's
Yeah,
like the first time I heard someone being like, "That's my niche of cars." Usually, I hear like Hondas or like
yeah.
Chryslers or something in that kind of lane.
The thing about Infinities, I feel like they're easy to mod. So like the G37, I just invested in the G37, and like I like it. The rims, I'm gonna put some rims on it, a whole bunch
Word.
of stuff. But yeah, I'm into like cars now, and still into music, everything. I just like learning different things. So somebody like, yo, can you help me fix my tire, my flat? All right, pull up if
There,
you can.
that's that good friend. Like I have cousins like that the same way. Whereas like you come over with like a car issue and yeah, just get it fixed. But tell me about your musical journey. So where did you start with that?
So actually, music is embedded in me. My grandmother was a jazz singer. My
Okay.
dad, writer, poet.
What era of jazz?
Uh, Probably like late 70s.
Okay, wow. So like the freeform era.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So she used to just sing like, and like the bars and stuff like that. And she's even showed me like videos of her performing. She was in like a jazz band too. She had
Okay.
like a trumpet player, a keys player.
And
Yeah,
then
just those two and her.
and then she passed that down to like her dad or her daughter.
So my grandmother has two daughters and a son. The son is my dad. My two aunties, they're both like poets, and my dad, he also writes too, but he raps.
Okay.
Black style. That's what he goes by. But yeah, so that was embedded in me. And then my mom, she had me in church from an early age.
Oh, were you singing in choir, things like
Yeah, I
that?
was in the
Yeah,
choir.
same.
But like eventually I was like, I want to be like a little cooler. So I used to always look at the musicians and everybody. Musicians in church is like varsity football players of high school. Like you got pull. So the second like I seen like how cool the musicians are, like I was like, I have to learn the instrument.
Like, did you learn sheet music too when you were in there?
So not at church. I learned sheet music when I went to school in Bloomfield
Okay.
in 8th grade. That's when I went to school in Bloomfield, and everything was so like you have to learn how to read. You have to be professional. Like that's their spectrum of professional.
That's their
musician.
standard, at
Yeah.
least.
So being there, I had to learn how to read sheet music, sight read.
And then from there, what got you into the production part? Like, would you want to actually record the music you were playing?
So at first, I used to tell everybody I was a composer, right?
Okay.
Because that was cool. And then my friend, my boy Shane Rocket, shout out Shane Rocket, producer. He came into class during 8th grade, and he was like, "I'm a producer and everything." I was like, "What's a producer?" He's like, "Yeah, I use Logic. I make my beats and stuff like
It
that." And
opened up the can of worms for you.
yeah, and he was just playing beats and stuff like that, and he was always in the studio, stuff like that, and meeting like artists and stuff. And I'm like, "Yo, that's so fire." You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a musician myself, so I'm like, I'm asking him like, "Bro, like, help me out." Like, you
So
know
it
what I'm
was
saying?
more so like a classmate more than like other mainstream artists that inspired you to like get into the actual beat making.
Right. So once that happened, we got to high school, and he actually brought me to here the studio, and that's when I started like meeting artists, and I kind of fell in love with the studio, and I was like, how can I be in here myself?
How
Like,
old were you then?
by then I was probably like 15, 16.
Okay. So you've
So
been in and out of here for a while.
right. So, but it took me a while to get my own foot because I had to better myself. That's where the value came in. What was my value to the studio? Why do they need me here?
Hmm.
And so I started off with the internship. I did not know how to engineer. I was just making beats. My beats wasn't even there yet. You know what I'm saying? I was still in the growing process.
It was still
Um,
making like just generic 808 and 909
yeah,
sounds.
just like stock sounds,
Yeah.
everything. You know what I'm saying? No bad mix, too loud of a
Like the hi
clap.
hats are too low, but the
Yeah,
kicks are like
yeah.
uncompressed.
So practically like the beats were like all over the place, but I had the musical idea because I was a musician. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So my melodies was fire. But then when I was doing the internship, Misa, I was like talking to Misa, and he sat down with me. He was like, "So what do you want to do? What's your goal?" And I was like, "To make music." He was like, "Yeah, but what's your goal?"
Yeah, like a more defined thing. Because
Yeah,
making music, you can do so much. You
yeah,
could be a singer, you could be a film composer. It's like you gotta have a clear set like vision and go towards that. And I guess that's what he like instilled in you.
right. And that made me sit down and think like, what's my goal? And I was like, I just want to be great, and like I want to just keep on going. He was like, all right, you gotta learn how to engineer. I was like, what? I gotta learn how to engineer, and that's like one of the greatest things that ever like helped my music
That was
career.
your turning point.
Yeah, cause being an engineer helped me my mixes get better when it comes to beats. I started actually understanding the concept of like music. You know what I'm saying? So say even though if I work with like other engineers and stuff, and they send me back something, I could literally be like, nah, that's the vocals is too compressed or way more reverb or you have way too much reverb. You know what I'm saying? I have my own mindset. Also, I don't need anybody else in the studio with me. I could literally do a whole track by myself.
Right,
Did
you're
my single,
your own
yeah,
boss at that point. Like you have
yeah,
the power to like make the quality you want.
exactly. So at that point, I don't have to rely on anybody. Because before I was relying on people, I'll get mixes back that sounded horrible on my
Hmm.
beats. You know what I'm saying? And the song would be fire. It's just the mix. Like earlier, before we started this, you was talking about the Kendrick track.
Yeah, Baby Keem.
Yeah, and I said the track is fire. My only issue is the mix. It was very dry. You know what I'm saying? But that's my personal
Yeah, like his
preference.
vocals though, I understand like no reverb. The
Yeah,
drums like got muddied with the bass. There wasn't any EQing probably. It was just like a rolling kick and it sounded just really gravelly without like any body.
exactly. So just things like that. But eventually, like since I learned how to engineer, I'm able to point that out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got that refined, palate or like
Right.
an ear for what sounds good. Like, okay, that kind of sounds like shit.
Yeah, because especially when you first start doing music, everything sounds like it just sounds like music. So you're like, yo,
Yeah.
this is fire. And then it kind of sucks too at the same time because as you get better, you're like,
You get spoiled because
yeah,
like I have this certain standard now
right.
as an engineer or producer. Like if I hear vocals that sound like just a little too quiet, like
See,
Nav sometimes he does that. Like the vocals are mixed like below the beat, and I'm like, what
yeah,
are you saying, man? And like some
exactly,
of the words you can't hear them, so like you lose that kind of like innocence you'd had when you started making music, where it's like it's got to be a certain way now.
right. But yeah, so it's like a perk and it's like a I wouldn't even say it's a downer at the same time because that makes you more valuable at the end of the day.
True.
Because now people is like, I need him in my session. People literally book with me because they need me there. Because I tell them exactly what should be done. You know
You
what I'm
got that
saying?
leverage now.
Yeah. Because I'm like, no, don't do that right there. You're off key right there. Singing this note, sing that note. I played a note for them on the piano.
And you
Is
understand music theory, right?
right. That's where my musician side came in.
Right.
I learned music theory. When I learned it in 8th grade in school because they was forcing me to learn how to read because I was so like I play off air, grew up in church. In church everything is like off air. That's where I learned like keys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in music theory I learned way more like relative minors and stuff like that.
See, I never even got into the weeds like that with it. My
Yeah.
buddy Eric, he would always tell me, "You gotta learn music theory as a producer." This is when I met him in engineering school. But you learned inadvertently because you were just learning like in music class, right?
Right.
So it's not like you were on the path to production yet, were you?
No, I wasn't on a path at all.
Wow.
But so it's just crazy how this journey just like transformed. Cause I did find myself struggling inside music growing up because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Cause I'm like, yeah, I'll probably just be a musician or something, you know what I'm saying? But then I'm like, I was getting like, sometimes I'm like, yo, these musicians are way better than me. They were being classically trained since they were like 3 years old, and
And
I'm
what
like,
instruments were they
like,
playing?
man, it was people playing every instrument sight reading,
Like piano?
piano, trombone, flute, drums, and I'm there like, what the hell? I play these same instruments, but you've been classically trained since you were 3 years old. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
and you
saying?
can't like be hard on yourself about that. Like it's very rare like people get that kind of a start that young,
Right.
but they got like what decades of experience at that point, right?
Yeah, and me at the age of probably like 12,
Yeah.
13, 14, where I started, I'm like, dang, I just learned how to play the Beethoven song. They over here playing the symphonies, all that. They playing everything.
Symphonies?
Yeah, everything. And I'm just like, geez, like, so that kind of helped me kind of because then I'm very competitive.
Yeah.
I like friendly competition. I love all that. So it helps me get better. Like I love when I always challenge people, especially if they're just starting or they've been doing it for a long time. I'm like, let's do it. Like let's go. You want to have
Yeah,
a battle or something? You know what I'm
that
saying?
competitive edge though is actually a trait in a lot of successful people too. So tell me about your work ethic a little bit. So you probably grind consistently being an engineer, whether it's production or actually mixing in vocals. Like what's the thing that keeps you like going with it?
So honestly, being in the studio is the greatest advice I can offer to any producer, engineer, or whatever. You can't be an engineer if you're not really in the studio, whether you have your own studio or not. But as a producer, being in the studio is key because you're surrounded by so much music. It could be different beats. There's times in here I've heard different beats just by the artists coming in. They're like, yo, I want to do this trap, pop, heavy metal,
Like
rock,
fusion?
yeah, and I'm like, what? And they'll play the beat, or I hear something new for the first time, and I'm like, yo, this is hard. But in my head, I'm like, I like the snares. That's what it is.
Like you pick
So
apart things you do like?
right. So as an engineer, because I'm also engineer production. So me loading up beats for people, hearing the packs that they get sent, I hear a lot of like different snares, claps, hi hats, different sounds, and with that it helped me get better in myself because I hear different things that I implement, no ideas, different things like. A cool thing I've been hearing recently, Jersey, shout out Jersey, like the Jersey pop, hip hop,
Yeah, like you showed me
Jersey,
Jersey Club. I
yeah,
think that's incredible. I like that.
yeah, it's like the pop. It's like a pop sound mixed with like the hip hop. They got even drill in
It's
it.
got like a
Like
dance vibe to it.
yeah. So as a producer, hearing things, trying things, and continue making beats. Not all your beats are gonna come out fire. Like you
Right.
know what I'm saying. Some of those beats are gonna be trash to you.
Yeah, you're
And
on toughest critic at the end of
yeah,
the day, so maybe someone's gonna like it, but eventually, yeah, I get exactly what you
I
mean.
can't tell you the amount of times I've been playing beats in sessions for artists, and I hear a beat like the first 10 seconds, and I'll like skip it, and the artist's like, wait, no, 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 go back, go back, go back. I'm like, this one? They're like, yeah, this is hard. I'm like, I spent 5 minutes on this beat, and I'm trying to play the beat that I spent the hour or two on for you. You
And
know
they're
what I'm
like,
saying?
nah, the other
Yeah,
one.
they're like, yo, this one is it. When did you make this? I'm looking at them like, this one right here, the one with an 808 and one melody, simple drums. So it's like you're gonna always be your toughest critic. Just keep on making those beats. Make those beats that you think are trash. Just finish it. You know what I'm saying? And another option you have too is save the melody, bounce it without the drums on it. Save the
Yeah, use it for
melody.
something else or
Yeah,
recycle it.
yeah.
Good
Because
idea.
you might go back to it, and when you're going back to it, you can make the same beat with different drums.
I find
You
myself
got
doing that a lot too.
see
It's smart.
and different ideas. Because one of these is pop, the next is boom bap, the next is trap. You know what I'm saying? So
You can always transpose a melody like to a different genre. Like, let's say you have
exactly
like a drill beat, and then like you go into like, I don't know, dance hall,
right.
whatever. But like the melody can like somehow translate.
And collaborations is your best friend. Collab with other producers.
So when you were first starting out, how difficult was it to like get like networked with other people and collab?
So the thing is, people aren't going to take you seriously until you take yourself seriously.
Right.
And I tell people this all the time. Once you show that you're not a joke to people, they have no choice but to take you seriously. It was when I was first starting off, I didn't have anything really about music on my page. I was just like, I made beats. Cool. Anybody can make beats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Literally, I have artists coming here. They never made a beat before. And then the next day they come in and like, I made a beat on my phone. And I come in and it sounds fire. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can make a beat. Anybody can make a fire beat. It's not hard. It's 2021.
Oh no, I have a friend who made like 11 beat tapes. Not even kidding you. Like all on
Exactly.
his phone, in the
Exactly.
span of a couple like months or whatever.
Exactly. The goal is to show that you're serious. Show that what separates you from this beat maker. Because anybody can make beats. There's people who will sell you 20 beats online for freaking $10. You
20
know,
beats, like
yeah, it's literally
that's underselling, I think.
exactly. But there's people who do it. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's so accessible. So in order for people to take you serious, you gotta show back to what I said before, value. Why am I working with you? Why do you buy Nike instead of the off brand shoe when they're the same thing?
Well, it's the brand loyalty one, and two, like yeah, it's like it's proven value time and
Right.
time
It's
again.
value. Your value.
Yeah.
I did people would rather rock the Nike on their feet than rock the same thing with no Nike check. Because everybody's like, yo, you got Nike on. You're working with that person. You know what I'm saying? That value you have to your name. Your name is everything, your
That's a
brand.
good analogy.
So yeah, it's just like as a producer, that's what you want to make sure you have. You want to make sure that you're taking yourself seriously. You're showing that you're serious. The ways you can show yourself seriously now, being in the studio consistently, making sure you're reaching out to those. Don't be scared to reach out to those people with the verification check, 100,000 followers. Like there's a chance they will reply. And
Like, like you don't know if like you'll actually be looking for like different kinds of sounds too.
exactly. And another thing is, you don't have to work with those people to be taken seriously. You could build with your own artists and watch your own artists blow up. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you'll get taken way more seriously that way too. Like, say you work with somebody who had 100 followers, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because in society, numbers do matter, and music numbers matter.
In a
Sadly,
social media game,
yeah.
yeah.
So, and with that way, in order to build, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes people only take you seriously once you're at a certain number. But if you're showing that you're serious, if you're showing that you're putting the work in, that you're consistently working, that artist that you're working with, if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and y'all growing together, next thing you know, they're gonna have that 10K, 20K, because people are like, yo, I mess with him, he's doing the work. Collaborations, you know what I'm saying? You're getting other fan bases. There's so many ways to be successful, and you just gotta put the work in. A lot of people just talk and they don't put the work in.
Yeah, then they're not implementing the action.
Exactly.
I think we touched on this the last episode too, where it's like you can talk about like, you know, what you need to do all you want, but if you're not actually putting it in, like that's on you.
Right. Um, and that's a motivation thing also. And I find myself sometimes losing motivation. Um, with motivation, what can help you is simply being around the atmosphere, which is why a studio is important.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's sometimes I come in here unmotivated. You know what I'm saying? I probably haven't made a beat in like
Does it
a
come
couple
in
of days.
seasons for you
Yeah,
sometimes?
sometimes. But me being here in the studio, hanging other people, feeding off of other people's energy is like, yo, let me get back in it. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, this song is fire. I want to make a beat like this when I get home and send this to the artist. You know what I'm saying?
I remember one session we was actually that kind of vibe where we were building a beat for I think palm trees.
Mm.
and we were reversing some of the clips, and like it was just fun, and
Right.
like I hadn't had that kind of fun in like a while making a beat.
And that's motivation to you, right?
Yeah, I
So
went home, made something.
see, that's exactly what I mean. That just the main thing is being around the atmosphere, surrounding yourself with people who are in the same field as you and trying to has the same goal. Don't hang out with people who aren't trying to do anything with their lives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're like
But
saying you're the people you surround yourself with, like the five people. That's
mm-hmm.
true. Like I think it's another thing where you have people in different levels than you. Like not saying like people who aren't like as successful as you are like lower than you, but you also surround yourself with others who are not as or like in
Right,
the same lane, like that you can gauge yourself, so that
right.
way you're not only aspiring to be with people who are in like another circle, like what you would feel is above you. You see what I'm saying?
One thing I always tell people, if you're in a room full of people who are great, you're gonna feel intimidated. It's a
Yeah,
natural thing, but that's
that's the
great.
only kind of people you're
Yeah,
around too, though. I feel like that can backfire because sometimes you need to be around other people to show you, okay, I don't want to kind of go down that road. I want it's kind of a reminder, so that way you kind of stay on the up and up and away. Ever hear that saying, bucket of crabs or barrel of
right,
crabs? It's kind of like that.
right. The way I like to move about it too is if I'm around people who I feel like aren't there yet, I try to get them there.
Yeah, bring them
So,
up. Yeah.
because people, it's all about your team. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Who you're surrounded by. People look at that. So if your team looks like a whole bunch of not to, like bums, you know what I'm saying? If you're surrounded by a whole bunch of bums, you're a bum. Honestly, every successful person says it. Iron sharpens iron. So I'm around people and I feel like they're not at that standard. My job is to build them. You know what I'm saying? Just like if I'm in a room and I'm not at the standard that everybody else in the room is at, I'm supposed to be building myself, and hopefully, I'm building from them. But I have no choice but to build from them because I'm learning stuff from them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The only way that I'm failing is if I'm not applying myself. You know what I'm saying? So if you're around a room with people who make you feel intimidated, stay in that room. Don't go home and quit. If anything, if you feel like you want to quit, that should make you go home and grind harder. Like there's times I kid you not, I've been in rooms with producers that are like super fire, in my head I'm like, yo, I need to step up. Like I need to step. I hear ideas. I'm like, I
That's
never
the
even thought
competitive
of
part
that.
about you coming out, right?
Right. And that's the edge. You need that. That's how you get better. That's how you get way better.
Otherwise, you're just gonna plateau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you never want to stay stagnant. And of course, we have those times we go like this, we go like this. But it's all about going this. It's not about the fumbles, the
Yeah,
recovery.
long term, it's about that because like you'll
Right.
eventually have like your peaks and valleys, but as long as like you consistently improve, like you do every day, like what you just told me earlier.
Yeah, I try to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'm not in the mood. Sometimes I'm down. We need that. We're human. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the greatest, nowhere near the greatest yet. But my goal is to keep getting better. That's my only goal, to better myself. A lot of times, I was even talking to Misa again about this. We set goals for ourselves. And sometimes like the goal should be bettering ourselves, just applying ourselves every day. But sometimes we set these goals and we're like, we F ourselves up because we're like, we didn't reach this goal.
Another
You know?
way to approach it too, there's different schools of thought for that. Sometimes you set goals and sometimes you set systems, because a goal is like this destination. And once you get there, you're always going to think about the next one, the
Right.
next goal after that. So if you have a system, it's like, okay, if I make 10 beats this week and 10 beats the next week, and eventually after like a couple weeks, you have a few albums worth of stuff, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't have like a goal, like I have to make, this many songs by this date. It was
Right.
just like this is going to be my process. I think systems like work better off of that, and eventually you'll probably get to your goal either like inadvertently.
Right. Another issue that can be also is say you don't reach that goal. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? What if you came into the studio that day? It was like, I'm gonna make 5 beats today. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you only made two. In
Right.
your head, you're like, I failed, but you didn't fail. Like you still got better. You made
Yeah.
those 2 beats.
And maybe they were better. They're like
Right.
quality.
Exactly. So the end goal is just keep working towards your craft. A lot of times we set these goals. I don't want to say they're unrealistic, but we don't reach them all the time. You know what I'm saying? That's totally okay.
It's human.
The fact that you tried, the fact that you kept on going, the fact that you invested your time into that, you doing better. You are getting better. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times it's okay to set these goals, but don't set yourself back because you didn't reach that goal. Just keep going every day. You know what I'm saying? If you want to get to the goal of making 5 beats a day easily, okay, it's okay if you just kept making 2 beats a day until you got to the 3 beats a day or the 4 beats a day. You know what I'm saying?
5 beats a day is kind of impressive though.
Yeah,
Like
it
over an
is.
extended period of time. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. Because at the end of the day, putting in 5 beats is all about the time. You know what I'm saying? So say if you wanted to put in five, you wanted to make 5 beats, right?
Yeah.
And you only had a 2 hour period of time. You know what I'm saying? If you still made only 2 beats in that 2 hour period of time, you did the job. You know what I'm saying? You
You
just
still
set a goal.
worked. You still
Yeah,
like did something more
exactly.
than like probably another competitor.
Exactly. People don't see it that way, and they mess themselves up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And we gotta just see it that way. You gotta see it. You gotta see the cup halfway full instead of halfway empty. I know this is all stuff we already know, but sometimes you gotta apply it. You know what I'm saying? You know it, but you don't apply it, and that's when things click. Like the value thing. I knew it. Everybody knows about value. Of course, better yourself,
Yeah.
but you don't know it until it clicks. Until you put in that situation.
It
Like,
took me a while to figure out like the whole value concept
see,
too, because like there's valuable content on the video or valuable content in like a book, but not all books and videos have value. You know what I
right.
mean? So
Right. And value to everybody is different. The same value I could offer to you is not the same value I could offer to the label rep of something. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has different value. Your job is to figure out the value. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you want to be in a certain situation. If you, as a producer, if you want to work with a certain artist, you have to have a value to them. Cause like, and it's not hard to get a value. You just have to know what the value is. You know what I'm saying? Because being a beat maker simply off that is not it. I'm just keeping it a buck. Like whether your value is also get building a connection, a personal connection. They're regular people, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They're not like this and you're this.
yeah,
Like they're regular people.
yeah, yeah.
If you once you start approaching it as that, instead of like a lot of times we see things as opportunities, you know what I'm saying? We shouldn't really see everything as
No,
opportunities.
I think that could be a trap in itself.
Exactly. Like we have to realize value is just simply being in this a spot. My value could literally just be sitting here and being in a room. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's value is different. We
Right.
just have to figure out what that value is. Some people need the comfort. Some people like hearing the great music. Some people like need a video recorder. Some people need something. You know, everybody has different things they need.
Yeah, for example, like being a beat maker, but also you can be like a video maker or something. So you're offering like
Exactly.
you're over giving.
Right. Or sometimes, funny as it is, sometimes your value is being the freaking therapist. Honestly, like sometimes it's just sitting there talking to them, being there. Or sometimes you need somebody to listen to them.
Yeah,
Sometimes they just need a friend. You know what I'm saying? That's with anything. Business isn't always
it's with
strictly business.
connections, you know.
Yeah, it's connections.
Well, Toby, thank you for coming out here, man. I appreciate your time.
Thank
Got
you.
a lot of value from what you were saying. I'm gonna implement it later on when I go back to record at my place. So I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. These topics you help me think more of too. So I'm gonna implement it myself too.
That's all it's about, man. Just inspiring each other. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, like and subscribe, leave a comment, share with a friend, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
You better like and subscribe. Better do it. I'm watching you. You still ain't do it yet? Do it. Hurry up. I'm watching you. There we go. There we go. All right.